not sure what that plant is. This one here. But anyway. Grape seems to be doing alright there. Garlic seems to be growing alright there. Last of the cherry tomatoes. Multiple potatoes. Capsicum, or bell pepper as some people refer to them. And avocado. It's a nice little surprise. More potatoes. The red grape coming out this way. A gooseberry. And I bought myself a rhubarb. Looking over this way, many nectarine trees. A pile of topsoil that I took off the front, still going. The manure and compost bay. Over here. This is the poor apricot tree that got broken down, but it's coming back, so it's all good. Oh, there's the cabbage, I think is what that one was. I've chopped up this bit a little bit. That's the older strawberry, which is probably getting a bit past its prime. There's a strawberry that's growing from one of the runners. I've got a snow pea plant in there. Again, potato. And here, at the back of the bench, my trellis seems to be working okay. Some of the snow peas and things are growing up there. Obviously some lettuce and things in there. Other bits and pieces. Apple trees. Doing alright there. The pond is very green with algae, but the fish seem to be okay. Obviously I need to get the leaves out. This tree keeps dropping them, but it must be nearly finished with them. Let's come around this side of the greenhouse. Oh, looks like the sweet pea has knocked or pulled the branch down. Let's see if I can mix that up. There we go. It's lovely smelling sweet pea. Sweet alyssum there. I can't remember what that one was. Honeysuckle? No. Hydrangea. Yeah, anyway, we'll go into we've got the nigella there. More trees. Okay. Into the relative warm. Okay. So the indoor tomatoes, which I think the weather, or the temperature I should say, means they're probably not going to do much more. Again, I topped this bed up. Those are basically just some alfalfa seeds on top, because I thought, why not? And I'm not sure if these are actually weeds from the soil beneath. I think they are, but I'll let those keep going until I'm more sure. But I have also planted some other bits and pieces in here, so there will be some intentional plantings in there. This is one of my many apples from seed, so I'll just let that keep going. If it grows well enough, then I can plant that out. This is my, again, some people call them bell peppers. In Australia we call them capsicums. That's about the biggest I've ever had, so it's successful for me. Again, though, I suspect that the temperature means that that's not going to grow much more, but I can keep this in here until spring and summer, and hopefully that'll produce next season, I guess. I was going to say next year, but that's not quite right. Again, another apple. This is a pineapple that, as much as it's not really growing much, it's also not dying. And that's actually from originally over here in the corner. I pulled it out because I thought, well, if it's dead, I'll remove it. If it still seems to be going, I'll keep it going. And it still seems to be going, so I've just put it in that pot for the moment. Again, when the temperature goes up again, I might see how it does somewhere else. One of my many kiwi plants trying to start, but the better ones are over here. Those seem to be doing quite well. I do have to remind myself, though, that, again, because the temperatures have dropped, they're probably not going to be putting on a lot of growth for the moment. So I just have to accept them for how they are. You can see at the moment in here, it's supposedly about 11 degrees, which is probably only about a couple of degrees warmer than outside. So passion fruit, hopefully. Again, those are ones that I've grown from seeds, just from plants that fruit that I bought from the supermarket, much like all the kiwi fruit that I'm growing. Those are from seeds from fruit bought from the supermarket, because I like to try and grow as much as I can from seed. But a bunch of the flowers and things in the front yard, those are actually from seedlings? Yeah. From our local hardware store, because they do some plants, and I occasionally get vouchers and things to use there, so that's a nice way of sort of topping up the garden a bit. Here is my attempt to actually be a bit more organised with the veggie patch. So you can't really see that because the labels are written over the top of other ones, but we've got some broccoli, spinach, and pak choi, and recently some onions. Those are part of my attempt to actually start being a bit more, well, as I said, organised with the veggie patch, because I have had a tendency to basically just plant whatever I've got at the time, but kind of just put seeds in, sort of hope for the best. Whereas this way, I'll have a much better idea of what I'm putting out. Even possibly some of the aster, although I don't have much luck with those. But also that means that when I put them into the veggie patch, they should have a much better chance of growing successfully, because they'll have had a head start. Up here, plenty of orange trees. Those aren't doing much, but they're not in the most ideal situation. However, this one is doing quite well. As you can see, it's grown past that point again. That's my little, well, was my gauge for whether it was growing and by how much, but that's kind of, I'd need a new stick now to gauge any further. Again, that's one of my apple trees. That one's actually doing quite well. I'd like to find a place to plant that out, but I don't know if I've got space for it as such at the moment. This is supermarket bought basil, which is doing all right. That one's obviously gone to seed, at least some of it has. You can see better there, some of the dried seeds. And this one's store-bought, supermarket bought parsley, which is doing extremely well and just wants to keep growing there, and I'm quite happy to let it keep growing there. A lettuce, one of them's bolted, obviously, and the two there, which are probably getting to the end of their time as well. This one, which I'm not sure what it is, it could be kale. A little app that I use for identifying plants suggests it's broccoli, which it could be. I did have broccoli in here that bolted, so it might have dropped some seed, and that could be what it is, but I guess we'll wait and see. I suspect a lettuce that I put seed in here for and is just going very keenly. Another capsicum, and yet another tomato plant, and hollyhock, that's what it is, hollyhock. That one doesn't seem to be doing it, but I think it's just because I don't tend to water very well in here. I tend to sort of leave things to their own devices, other than the water that gets through some of the spots in the roof. So you can see there it's a bit damp, and we get that lovely little bit of water on the leaf. It's always nice to see a bit of, if I can focus on it, there we go, water on a leaf. But so there's a bit more of the moisture on the mushroom growing of its own accord in here. But that's basically the state of things in the garden and the greenhouse at the end of May 2023. So I'm looking forward to the warmer weather so I can actually start getting some decent growth happening again, but for the time being I'll enjoy the fish and the bits of growing that I can do, and the fact that I actually did grow a capsicum plant relatively successfully. We'll get the fruit, or the actual edible part at some point, but there we go. I'll finish on that, I suppose. Thanks for watching, and happy gardening.